It was one of those mornings where the city felt tired before the day even began. The sky was gray, traffic moved without patience, and people walked past each other like they were late for something more important than noticing anyone else.
Listen
On a narrow
closely, we need to
sidewalk near a
move
small
now.
grocery store, a young boy sat quietly on the cold concrete. His jacket was too thin for the weather, his shoes were worn at the edges, and his hands were folded together as if holding warmth that wasn't there. He wasn't crying. He wasn't begging. He was just waiting. Most people passed him without slowing down. Some glanced for half a second and then looked away. A few tightened their grip on their bags and kept moving. The boy had learned this rhythm of the street: faces coming, faces leaving, none staying long enough to ask his name. Hunger had a sound inside him, a dull ache that came and went, but he had learned to sit still with it. He watched steam rise from cups of tea people carried, watched the bakery door open and close, letting warm air escape for a second before disappearing again. Across the street, a man stood waiting for the signal to change. He was dressed simply, nothing expensive, nothing noticeable. He had his own worries: rent that was due soon, a job that didn't pay enough, a phone buzzing with messages he hadn't answered yet. His day was already heavy, and he was prepared to walk right past the boy like everyone else. But something slowed him down. Maybe it was the way the boy wasn't asking for anything. Maybe it was the stillness. Or maybe it was just one of those moments where life taps your shoulder softly and waits to see if you turn around. The man crossed the street, then stopped. He told himself it would only take a second. He approached the boy and crouched down so they were eye to eye. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The city noise filled the space between them. Then the man asked, quietly, "Are you hungry?" The boy nodded. Just once. No story. No drama. Just the truth. The man went into the grocery store nearby. He didn't buy much: some bread, a warm meal, a small carton of milk. He hesitated for a moment, then added a chocolate bar, the kind kids always choose first. When he came back, he handed the bag to the boy without making a show of it. The boy opened it slowly, like he was afraid it might disappear. When he realized it was real, his shoulders relaxed for the first time that morning. As the boy ate, the man sat beside him on the cold ground. He didn't check his phone. He didn't rush. He just stayed. They talked a little, about school the boy used to attend, about how his mother worked late, about how days felt longer when you were hungry. The man listened more than he spoke. And in that listening, something shifted. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just enough to matter. Before leaving, the man took off his own scarf and wrapped it gently around the boy's neck. The boy tried to refuse, but the man smiled and said, "I'll be fine." Then he stood up and walked away, blending back into the crowd, just another person in a busy city. The boy watched him go until he disappeared. The food was warm. The scarf smelled faintly like soap. And for the first time in a long while, the city didn't feel so cold. That man never knew what happened next. He never saw the boy later that week sharing his chocolate with another child. He never knew that the small kindness stayed with the boy longer than the hunger did. He never knew that years later, when the boy grew older, he would remember not the food, but the way someone sat down beside him when no one else did. The days after that morning moved on like they always do. Cars came and went. Shops opened and closed. The city forgot the small moment almost immediately. But the boy didn't. He went back to that same sidewalk many times, not because he expected the man to return, but because something inside him had shifted. He sat a little straighter now. He looked at people differently. Not with hope exactly, more like curiosity. As if the world had proven it wasn't made of only hard edges. One evening, rain started falling suddenly. People rushed for shelter, covering their heads, annoyed at the inconvenience. The boy stood under a broken awning, holding the scarf tightly. Nearby, an old woman struggled with a heavy bag of groceries, the rain soaking through her clothes. No one stopped. Everyone was busy protecting themselves. The boy hesitated. He could have stayed dry. He could have waited. That's what the street had taught him: to wait, to endure. But another lesson, quieter and newer, pushed forward. He stepped out into the rain, walked over, and lifted the bag from the woman's hands. She looked surprised, then smiled, a tired, grateful smile. They walked together to her building. She thanked him, pressing a few coins into his hand, but more than that, she placed her palm gently on his head, the way parents do. The rain felt colder after that, but somehow lighter. Weeks passed. Small moments stacked quietly. The boy helped carry boxes at a shop for a little food. He watched over a younger child while a mother ran an errand. Nothing heroic. Nothing worth filming. Just ordinary kindness, the kind that doesn't ask for permission. And every time he did, he felt that same warmth he had felt when someone once chose to sit beside him. Far away, the man lived his life. He never told anyone about that morning. To him, it was just a small choice on a busy day. But sometimes, when he wrapped a jacket tighter around himself in winter, he wondered how the boy was doing. The thought passed quickly, like most thoughts do, but it left a soft mark. Years later, the city looked different. New buildings, new shops, new people rushing somewhere important. A young man now stood near a cafe, holding the door open for strangers, helping when he could, not because he expected thanks, but because it felt natural. When asked why he did it, he shrugged. "Someone once did the same for me," he said, though he never explained further. Kindness rarely announces itself. It moves quietly, from one person to another, changing shape but not meaning. You may never see the end of the story you start. You may never know how far your small action travels. But it travels. It always does. And somewhere, right now, a simple choice is waiting, small enough to ignore, strong enough to matter. Kindness doesn't always change the world in one moment. Sometimes it just changes a moment. And sometimes, that's enough to change a life.